Hi folks, in this video I'm going to show you by far what my favorite feature inside QuickBooks Online is, which is building custom drop-down fields. Now we're also going to use the new custom report builder to build reports using those custom drop-down fields, and I'm sure you're going to absolutely love it as much as I do. Now, everything that we're going to be discussing today only works in the advanced edition of QuickBooks Online. If you're not sure which version you have, click on the gear menu on the top right of the screen and then go into Account and Settings. In Account and Settings, you're going to click on Billing and Subscription on the left-hand side. And then up here, where it says QuickBooks Plus right now, it should say QuickBooks Advanced. If you have Simple Start, Essentials, or Plus, none of the stuff that we're going to cover here today will work. You will need to upgrade to QuickBooks Online Advanced in order to have access to those features. To upgrade, just click on Upgrade Your Plan. And you can just click on Choose Plan and upgrade from there. Before you upgrade, I'm going to put my email up here somewhere. Just email me your company ID. So up here in the top, that's right here. So you're going to email me your company ID and I'm going to have somebody at Intuit do the upgrade for you and give you a discount on that. I could give you at least 3 months worth of discount on that upgrade. And I do get a spiff for upgrading people into advanced. So that's how we support the channel. But in either case, the purpose of this video is to wow you and get you thinking about how this upgrade to QuickBooks Online Advanced with custom fields and custom reports will be worth 10 times, the extra amount that you'll be paying for the subscription. If you have not yet signed up for a new account, in the description I have a link where you can create a brand new QuickBooks Online account and you can get an extended discount for 12 months for the new account as well. So I switched to my other company that has QuickBooks Online Advanced, so I'll be able to access these features. Let me get out of here and let me show you how to set up custom fields. So the first thing you want to do is you want to click on the gear menu on the top right of the screen and then go to where it says Custom Fields. Once you click on Custom Fields, it will take you into a screen where all your custom fields will be listed. For example, I'm going to zoom in for a second. You see that I have a couple of custom fields already set up here. We have one called Authorized By, we have Project Manager, we have one called Custom Field Date, that was just me testing around, and we have one here called Sales Rep Dropdown. So to create a new custom field, so when you log in for the first time, this is just going to be blank. But to create a new custom field, we're going to click on the top right where it says Add Field. The Add Field will open up a drawer on the right-hand side of the screen, and then it'll give you a couple of suggestions. Sales Rep, PO Number, Customer Type, Vendor Details, Project Manager, just suggestions for you. But this is going to be custom, so you can do whatever you want. So for example, let's say you want to track the country or destination where the product is being shipped to, or maybe you want to track the name of the warehouse where the product's being shipped from, or you want to track the supervisor on that particular project, or the salesperson handling that particular sale. So anything really that you want to create as a custom field that you potentially wanted to set up as a drop-down, you might want to think about that, because you can add that into almost any transaction. So for example, let's say I want to do a custom field for the field supervisor. So I'll just type here, field supervisor, and that's it. That's the name of the custom field. Then I have a couple of options here. We have text and number. That just means it's a free type. I can type whatever I want, either a text or a number. Then we have number only. That will restrict that you can only put numbers in that field. Then we have date. That means that you will literally have a date picker and you would pick the date. So this is great for things like expected ship date or actual ship date or completion ending date or project completion date, project start date. I mean, all sorts of interesting things you can do there. Again, if you want a date with a date picker, you would pick a date in there. And then you have my favorite here, which is a drop-down list. Once you select drop-down list, you will have a maximum of 100 menu items you can build in this custom menu. So let's say we have 6 different field supervisors. So we have Mike, and then we have Steve, and then we have Mary and Vanessa. And let's just, let me scroll down a little bit here. And then we have Hector and let's say Adam. Okay. So those are my 6 field supervisors. I could put there whatever I want. What's really cool is you get 100 of them, and then you can activate them and inactivate them as you wish. So let's say right now, Vanessa and Hector are on vacation for 6 months. So we're going to just remove them from the list so they're not showing there at all. And then once I want to bring them back on the list, I can just come back here, activate them, and we bring them back in, but we don't lose them, at least in the placeholder. Now, these are going to be listed in the same order as they're created. So if you want to have them in a particular order, you kind of have to think about that prior to creating the list. There's no sorting feature yet or resorting feature yet for the drop-down list, so it's going to be exactly as is being shown. Then down here it says select category. Is this a customer level custom field? Is this a transaction level custom field? Is this a vendor level custom field? So for example, if I'm only going to be tracking this in invoices and sales receipts, then I have to either pick the customer one or the transaction. And the reason why they're different is because the customer one also allows you to put the custom field inside of the customer's attributes in your customer center, in your customer's database. So if you want to run a report by customer, by those custom fields, you can do that. But right now, let's focus on transactions. So we're focusing on a per invoice, per sales receipt type of transaction. So we're going to pick their transaction. Then it says in which of these forms you would like to see this custom field. Now, this is what makes custom fields particularly powerful, because the alternative to custom fields, especially if you have QuickBooks Online Essentials or Plus or Simple Start, is to use tags instead. Now, tags are powerful. Tags do get you certain reports, but they're not going to get you as detailed reports as custom fields can. Plus, you don't get to choose where tags can be. So tags are going to be across every single transaction in QuickBooks, where with custom fields, I get to pick where I'm going to put them. And remember, the more precise you are on customizing the features for the particular user, the less likely that they'll make a mistake. So if I put custom fields in bills and purchase orders, the user will just start using custom fields in those transactions, and they really won't make any sense, and it'll take away from the importance of getting them right on the transactions which you want to track them with. So let's say I only want to track them in sales receipts, invoices, and estimates. And here, print on form, that's if you want, let's say I print the invoice or PDF the invoice or email the invoice to the client, if I want the field supervisor to show up in the physical form. So if it's only internal data that you're tracking as a QuickBooks user, as a business owner, if you're tracking it and the customer doesn't need to see it, then you don't put the checkbox that says print on form. But if you do want the customer to see it, you want to turn on print on form, and that's what that means. And that's it. That's all you really need to do on this screen. We click on save and done. We have our custom field in here. So now that we have a list of all of our custom fields, you have a couple of things you can do here. Here under actions, you can make it inactive, which means, let's say, for example, I don't want to use this one called custom field date in sales rep drop down. Let's just say custom field date. I'll get rid of that. Let's say I was just playing. I can just click here and make inactive, and then that no longer will be used in any transaction. What's also really cool about this screen is that you get to see basically just a quick sort of cheat sheet, a dashboard that tells you where every custom field has been enabled. For example, authorized by has only been enabled in expenses, bills, and checks. And we'll go back and look at those transactions so we can see that. And you see field supervisor only your sales transactions. And you get a little printer icon reminding you that that it will show up in the report, or not in the report, sorry, in the form when you print it or when you display it. So that's it. That's how you configure your custom fields. Now, how do we use them? So let's say, for example, I'm going to go create an invoice. I'm going to go into customers. I'm going to click on invoice. And then you're going to see in the header portion, on the top half portion of the invoice, we're going to see our custom fields here. We have sales rep, we have project manager, and we have field supervisor. Now, I added the words drop down to them just because I was doing a different training, and I wanted for it to be easy to be identified. But you actually don't need to add a word drop down. You don't need to see that. I'm just kind of displaying what it is. So if you go to sales rep here, we have a couple of sales reps. We have Bob, and then we have here a couple of project managers, and then we have field supervisors. Okay, so depending on which ones are on or off, those are the ones you're going to see in here. So naturally, what we want is later on, when we run a report of transactions by that custom field, that we can group, summarize, and maybe sum up all the sales for all the invoices and sales receipts that belong to that particular sales rep or that project manager or that field supervisor. So that should make sense in terms of the context of how that's being used. All right, let's move on to see what reports look like with these custom fields. So I'm going to click on my left navigation bar here on the left-hand side. I'm going to go to where it says reports. I'm going to click on report. And here in the find the report name, I'm going to look for sales by customer detail. That should be a good starting point, especially if we're pulling up invoices and sales receipts, sales transactions in its nature. Anyway, so we're going to click on sales by customer detail. That's going to give me all of my sales grouped by customer at the moment. Let me run a report for this year. So all the transactions for this year, click on run report. And then here where it says group by, right now it's being grouped by customer. That's the default way that a sales by customer detail will work. But if you scroll down in this drop-down menu, you're going to see the new field supervisor custom field that we created, the project manager and the sales rep, all the ones that we saw in the invoice when we were showing you how custom fields work. So I'm going to click on sales rep so we can see our sales by rep based on that information I put in the custom field, and then click on run report. Now, what you're seeing here on the screen is all the sales by Bob. Let me collapse the left navigation bar here so we get a little bit more real estate. And then up here in the top, I'm going to click on customize. And let's say I want to get rid of a couple of the columns that are there. Maybe I don't need everything in there. I'm going to leave date. I'm going to leave amount. And let's do customer name. We'll just do that and click on run report. That way we just have a much leaner report. So we have here the date of the transaction, the amount of the transaction, and the customer. I could change the order of that if I want to. I can click on the gear menu, click on reorder columns, and then I can move it around. Maybe put customer in the top, date in the middle, and then amount. Click on run report. It changes the order of the report. Anyway, so what you're seeing here is all my sales for the year are grouped by sales rep, which is a custom field that we created. Now I can collapse each of the sales reps. So I'm going to collapse Bob, I'm going to collapse Mike, and I'm going to collapse Lisa. And then we have not specified. So not specified for some context is, and I'm going to go ahead and open this up for you so you can see. So I'm going to open up the transaction. And that's whenever I have a transaction in which I didn't put any sales rep. So it doesn't give you an error. It just puts it in the not specified group. And then, every once in a while, especially if you want these reports to make sense, let me collapse the sales reps again. You want to monitor what's in that not specified to make sure that it's not a transaction that's supposed to be assigned to a sales rep or whatever that custom field is being used for. You want to make sure that that number is not, growing super huge. But this is a way you can quickly run a sales by rep report that shows you total sales. If you click on customize up here, and you go down into filters, you can get really creative in terms of particular classes or particular locations, or maybe group it by a particular set of customers. So you can also filter by the particular sales rep. So let's say I only want to show two of the sales reps, or actually, sorry, one of the sales reps. So I only want to show Bob, and then I click on run report, and then I'm only going to see Bob's sales. And then at that point, I can group it by something else. I can group it by customer or any other dimension, but then I'm seeing basically only Bob's sales. So I'm going to click on customize report again so you can see it, go down into filters and show you that the sales rep custom field, you can just pick that. So quick correction to what I said earlier, you cannot pick more than one. So if you're going to filter for the custom field, you either would have to just uncheck the filter that will show you all of the reps, or if you actually mark that, you're going to pick one of the sales rep to narrow the report. Now that could be useful to only show that particular sales rep their report and their report only. So there's all sorts of things that you can do. So that's a basic reporting tool for showing the custom fields. But I'm going to show you a much better tool, which is called the custom report builder. I'm going to go into reports one more time. And instead of searching for the report in the search box, I'm going to look for the big button that says invoice report inside of the custom report builder. This is the new tool that they added in 2021. And we're going to click on invoice report. And that's going to, by default, show me, it's a little bit different format to the other reports, but it's going to show me all of the invoices that are in the system reported for the particular date period. So I'm going to come here and put this year as well. So I'm eventually going to just show same type of report. And then here where it says columns, and I'll zoom out a little bit, where it says columns, I'm going to go search for that custom field. So inside here, invoice, I'm going to show all columns. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to find the sales rep. Should be here somewhere. There it is, sales rep. Remember, I added drop down to the name of that field. You won't see drop down in there. I added that in there, particularly to make it easier for me to find them here in the screen. So I'm going to add sales rep as the field. And of course, you saw under the report that some of the sales don't have the rep like this one does, for example. And then once I have it as a field, I can now group it. So I'm going to click here where it says group, and I'm going to select the sales rep right here. And then once I group them, automatically it's going to summarize all my transactions by sales rep. So now you start seeing how powerful this tool can be. You can also use the custom reporting tool, the custom report builder, for custom fields as well. Now I'm going to click here in customize, and I'm going to remove some of these fields. Again, we're going to simplify the stuff we're bringing. So let's go into columns here, and let's see everything that's turned on. I'm just going to leave invoice date and amount. Customer name, okay, let's leave that in there. I don't need open balance. I don't need shipping date. And we got the sales rep there, perfect. Let's just leave it at that so we have a little bit less information here. And I'll collapse the left navigation bar. Let me zoom out. And what I'll do is I'm going to bring the amount closer to the left so we can see it a little clearer. So I'm going to click on layout, bring the amount maybe next to the sales rep. Okay, that way it's a little bit closer, a little bit easier to see. I can zoom back out. And now we have the report. So these are all my sales for the year grouped by sales rep. Now these ones that say 21 here, this would be all the ones that are missing the sales rep. So I can collapse that. We can ignore those. If I go here where it says filter, I can go to filter, select sales rep, and here it says operation. I can put is not empty, and that will ignore all the ones that are missing. So that's pretty neat as well. In the custom report builder, you can do that. Now that we have all the sales by rep in here, I can do even more detailed type of stuff. Let's say we have classes and locations to report as well. Let's click on customize here. Let's go to columns and let's type here location. Let's turn on the location and let's turn on classes too. Okay, I'm just showing you more dimensions of data. We have classes too. So some of these transactions are going to have these fields. So let's see if they do. Yes, so you can see here, wholesale, retail. So some of these transactions do carry class and not location, but class information. So that being said, how else could it take this one step further? Well, I can click on group here and I can group it by one more dimension. So maybe I want to group it by class. Okay, and then once I do that, now I want to see information in a much richer way. I'm going to open up my mic customer, and then I'm going to see there's one transaction under wholesale and 21 transactions under retail. And we can apply the same thing with the filter. Let's say if they're missing a class, I don't want to see it. So I'm going to go here, add. I'm going to select class and also not empty. And again, that goes back to the comment I said earlier. You do want to make sure that you're not missing fields, because when you run these reports, the information might feel empty. So we have here Mike. It opens up into two. There's two classes basically, wholesale and retail. I can expand each one and I can see the details of each of the transactions. Okay, so really, really neat, really, really interesting. We can also break it down by product. So I'm going to go here to customize and I'm going to find product and service. Product and service, there it is. So we enable that, and then we'll bring that also into the grouping, because you can do 3 layers of grouping with the custom report builder, which is again why I love custom report builder and why I love custom fields, because now we're using classes, we're using products, we're using custom fields to build these really interesting reports. Okay, so now we're going to open them up. So we got Bob, he's got 2 retail sales, 1 wholesale. I open up retail and there's 12 of this product and 9 of this product. And I can expand each one and I can see each of the transactions that belong to each one. Super, super interesting. And I can also change the order of the grouping. So I'm going to go here where it says group, and I'm just going to remove all these. And then let's say I want to group by product first. So I'm going to group by product first. So that would be the first group. And then the second one is going to be, let's say, class. And then the last one will be rep. Again, you'll figure out if that stuff is useful for you. So So we open up any of these, then we have our retail class, then we have our rep, and then we can see all the transactions that were sold with that particular rep. I think the customer names here on the right-hand side. Okay. You can run additional filters. You can run multiple custom fields. So for example, if I wanted to use sales rep and another custom field, so I'm going to come in here and select the sales rep as the first one. Again, how we started. I'm going to go to customize report. I think we had field supervisor as the other one. So that was the other custom field, right? So I can even go into sales rep first, and then the second one could be field supervisor. We didn't enter any data in this yet. We just did it as an example, but just to show you that it would go to multiple layers. Right now, all the information is missing. That's why you get a blank. But then if we go back and add the field supervisor to each of those reports, that information will be displayed here the same way you saw it broken down by class and by product or service. And at this point, you should be super excited about this tool and you want to jump and work on your reports right away. I do want to add a little bit of a technical clause here, which is when you're building custom reports, you do need to keep in mind that there's some accounting happening behind the lines, and all the filtering for the reports gets done through choosing the right account or the right category for the transaction in order for this to work. What am I talking about? So right now I have my sales by rep, and you do have to keep in mind that everything is being reported in here. Then you got to customize here. Let's go to layout and let's bring amount up here to the top. Okay. So by default, amount is being totaled. However, if you do happen to do it by using the amount field, you're going to see a lot of repeating, sort of like transactions that look like they're repeating. And the reason for that is because by default, it's going to report every single line item on the invoice. So especially when you want to report at the line item level, you have to pay really close attention to what amount means. That amount field is the amount of the invoice. So for every single line item on that invoice, the amount is going to be repeated. That's why it looks duplicate. So instead of using amount, we're going to go here, it says filter, to customize. We're going to go into columns and we're going to search for ledger amount. We're going to use ledger amount, not regular amount. So I'm going to search for amount. I'm going to close that. And the reason for that is because I intend to get at the granular detail level. The only thing, other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to type here. I'm going to find in chart of accounts, I'm going to enable account type. I need to do this, and I'll explain this in a second. So once I turn on ledger amount and once I turn on account type, now what I can do is I can go into grouping, and then after sales rep, I can go to add, and I can bring in account type. And there's going to be a very logical explanation for this. I'm going to close this. Now I'm going to open up the sales from Mike, and you're going to see that we have sales being reported under accounts receivable, income, current assets, and cost of goods sold. Let me go to customize and layout and bring the ledger amount to the top here and make it easier to read. That way it's here. And by default, QuickBooks custom reporting tool doesn't sum up or total ledger amounts. So you're going to have to go into group, click on edit group calculations, and select ledger amount and total, because it only by default totals regular amounts, but ledger amount, which is a line item level, you might want to do that. So I'm going to open that up, and then I can open this, and I can see that there's a whole bunch of transactions being reported under income. So these are my total sales. Income is my total sales, 7,222. Then I have the stuff under other current assets. Those are for my inventory parts. It's removing my inventory transactions, my inventory asset. And then I have cost of goods sold. So I can do some interesting things here, which is I can filter out and only show income. So I'm going to go into filter. I'm going to go into account type. And then here in the operation, I can put equals. And then I can do income only. Select income there. Close that out. And now when I open them, I'm only seeing income being reported. So if I only want to see sales, I only would see income. If I go into filter here, and then I'm going to go into the drop-down menu, I want to report income and cost of goods sold. So both income and cost of goods sold. So now I get profit. I'm seeing profit. So if I expand it, I see my sales and I see the cost associated with it. So if you wanted to get a little bit fancier and bring in line item details, and you want to see the profit when you're selling inventory, for example, an invoice will have costs related to it. Then you're able to see information at that level. So you got to just be very, very careful when you're dealing with line item levels on invoices. So anyway, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, that's the idea. I wanted to sort of get the juices flowing in your head about how would you use custom fields in your particular line of business. If you're not sure, ask your question in the description. Maybe I can help you brainstorm it a little bit. But I got to tell you, the difference between my small clients and the clients that really, really succeed, the ones that really, really succeed, they look at reports and they manage results from those reports, and they look at sales and costs in multiple directions, and the way they decide, what to buy next, or what market to enter, or what customers to sell to, or what state to move to, or what customer or what employee to promote or fire, or what segment of the business is doing better than others. Those are the ones that really succeed because they use custom reporting tools. They use custom reports that allow them to see the data super, super quickly. And as a consultant, that's my favorite part of the job. Yes, we do taxes and we do bookkeeping and we do the traditional accounting stuff, but this is the fun part, right? Thinking about what dimensions of data are going to bring forth better insights that allows the business owner to make better decisions that will have an edge over their competitors. So hopefully I convince you that custom fields and custom reports with the custom fields is the way to go. Again, there's my email up there if you have any questions, or if you need to upgrade to QuickBooks Online Advanced, you will email me and I will help you get that a little bit of a discount. And then if you're going to set up a brand new account for QuickBooks, which I doubt because this is an advanced video, in the description somewhere will be the link for that. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next one.